Hey, what's up there, everyone? Welcome to another installment of the Key Essentials. In this video, we're going to be doing 21706, which is department vehicle collisions. Of course, this Key Essential video is going to be a little bit longer than the 5 or 10 minutes because there's a lot to get to here. We want to make sure that you get it all and that you understand it. So let's get moving. All right, so let's get into this, right? 21706, department vehicle collisions. From additional data, it says operator stop vehicle immediately, put out cigarette, use four-way flashers, raise the hood, use flares or any other warning devices. Don't move the cars unless the location is hazardous and likely to cause additional collisions. You'll note that this is totally different than in regular civilian collisions. As soon as the situation is stabilized and you can move the cars, they want you to move the cars to get them off the roadway. RMP accidents, no. So regular civilian accident, yes, move the cars. RMP accidents, don't move any of the cars. Okay, because they want the patrol supervisor to be able to come and take pictures and do whatever. So that's a big difference, right? MOS, request ambulance if necessary, request operators, witnesses, and occupants to remain pending the arrival of the patrol supervisor. Obtain name, address, home, and business numbers of persons involved and witnesses. Request a patrol supervisor, precinct of occurrence to respond. If unavailable, Central calls the patrol supervisor from the adjoining precinct. So, a couple of things here. You'll notice the first actor says MOS, not UMOS. There's a reason for that. We're going to get to it later on in the other slides. But first, if the operator is not from the precinct of occurrence, the available supervisor from the MOS's command will respond and do the patrol supervisor steps. So this goes for anybody, another numbered precinct, warrants, PDU, SRG. If those cars are in accidents, their supervisor comes and performs the role of the patrol supervisor. Now, first we have to talk about this MV-104 in forms. This is the regular civilian MV-104 that regular civilians do that get into property damage only accidents. The patrol supervisor prepares this if the civilian operator is incapacitated. So let's just talk about this right now. The regular MV-104 is a true step in the patrol guide, but it is only for civilian MOS, not UMOS. So who might fill this form out? Any civilian who's authorized to drive an NYPD vehicle, like the evidence property control person, the specialist, the custodian, building maintenance mechanics, tow truck operators, PAAs or lab technicians. Basically, anyone who's not sworn law enforcement who's operating a department vehicle. If they get into an accident with a department vehicle, then they prepare their own MV-104. Now, the patrol supervisor does prepare it if they're incapacitated. So before we move on, let's take a look at all the reports in this procedure. First, we have the MV-104AN. This is the regular PAR that we might do for any collision. The MV-104, this is the civilian PAR. Right? This is in the procedure. This is only for civilian MOS. Now, outside department vehicle accidents, this is for any civilian. But we're inside department vehicle collisions right now. So inside this procedure, the MV-104 is only for civilian operators of department cars. The MV-104L is a private motor vehicle form. It's basically a line of duty report, and that is only for on-duty UMOS. That's it. So the MV-104 is for civilian operators. The MV-104L is for uniformed members of the service only. And then we have the collision report police department vehicle. This is the collision report police department vehicle is an NYPD only form. So that's our own form that we made up. In other words, it's not a New York State form. All right, so those are your four forms: MV-104AN, MV-104, MV-104L, and collision report police department vehicle. Now let's get into the steps of what you do here. Patrol supervisor, precinct of occurrence, respond to the scene and ascertain the details of the collision. You will be the investigating supervisor. or request a response of the appropriate investigating supervisor. The patrol supervisor, precinct of occurrence, is always the investigating supervisor unless anyone is DOA or seriously injured. If anyone is DOA, not just the cops, if the cop car jumps a curb and hits a civilian and they get really hurt, so if anybody is dead or seriously injured, then the investigating supervisor will be the precinct CO or the duty captain if they're not available. And then so patrol supervisor then notify the desk officer of the details of the collision. Desk officer, precinct of occurrence, notify the CO or the duty captain. If you need them, you might not need them if nobody's that hurt. Notify the patrol borough of the collision and put the notification to the borough and the collision number. They give you a borough collision number. So put the notification and the borough collision number in the telephone record log. All right, let's keep going with the patrol supervisor. Patrol supervisor, if the MOS is injured and requires hospital treatment, notify operations unit promptly. Now we're going to call, the patrol supervisor is going to call operations again before the final reports are prepared to update operations on the MOS's status. If serious physical injury and serious traffic violation, the patrol supervisor, if qualified, is to give a breathalyzer test to the MOS operator unless they've been removed to the hospital. If not qualified, the patrol supervisor requests the response of a qualified highway unit supervisor to give the breathalyzer test. Patrol supervisors to ensure civilian operators get the breathalyzer test also, unless they're removed to the hospital. If probable cause that the MOS operator is under the influence, patrol supervisor effect arrest immediately. Notify IAB and comply with intoxicated or impaired driver arrest. Now, when you study this, you shouldn't study this as if this is part of the normal procedure. Remember that this entire section is qualified. What does that mean? In other words, the patrol supervisor is not doing any of this breathalyzer stuff if both things are not present. So you have serious physical injury, but there's no serious traffic infraction, then no breathalyzer. You have a serious traffic infraction, but there's no serious physical injury, then no breathalyzer. Both of these things have to be present. There has to be serious physical injury, and the operator of the motor vehicle, the MOS operator, would have had to do something really drastic, like run a red light or something like that. So if there's serious physical injury and a serious traffic violation, then the patrol supervisor does a breathalyzer or gets a supervisor from highway. Right? So both of those things have to be present. So it's the entire thing is qualified, because if you don't have both of those, then you're not doing the breathalyzer. Now, patrol supervisor, do the PAR in quadruplicate in forms. It's done directly into forms. Give one copy to the operator. The other three go to the desk. Note the following on the regular PAR. Fill in the numbered boxes with proper entry as determined from the corresponding code list on the cover sheet. If it doesn't apply, enter a dash. If you don't know, enter an X in the corresponding box. If injury doesn't say serious injury, if any injury, note if airbags inflated and deployed if applicable. Operator's address is the command's address. Remember, in line of duty, it's 1 LaFrac. Print police involved at the top of the PAR underneath the caption that says police accident report. Remember that this is a New York State form, so it doesn't have police involved on it. The patrol supervisor has to print it on. Okay, so have 2 sets of photos taken showing damage to all vehicles. If there's injury or DOA, take it at the scene if possible. Secure those photos in a jewelry security envelope, but don't voucher the photos. Indicate if responding to an emergency and what warning devices were used, like light, siren, whatever. So let's look at emergency operation. If the collision occurred during emergency operation, put a P in a circle next to the cop's name at the top of the PAR. Also put this statement in verbatim in the notes. collision occurred in police vehicle owned or operated by the NYPD while responding to an emergency situation. Remember that returning from an emergency doesn't count. And what is emergency operation as defined by the VTL? Operating parking while transporting a prisoner, aided, blood or blood-related involving imminent health risk, pursuit, responding to a 911 call, or other emergency. Now we're still with the patrol supervisor. Patrol supervisor, prepare and sign a MV-104L and attach it to the PAR. This should say only for UMOS, but it doesn't. So the MV-104L, you'll remember, is only for uniformed members of the service. So patrol supervisor, you prepare and sign the MV-104L. You'll remember if it's a civilian operator, the civilian prepares their own MV-104. Only the patrol supervisor does it, only if the civilian is injured or incapacitated or hospitalized. Basically, if they can't do it, then the patrol supervisor does it. But they do it on their own. In this case, when it's a uniformed member of the service, they're not even telling the cop to do it. It says, patrol supervisor, you prepare and sign the MV-104L and attach it to the PAR. Failure to report on an MV-104L is a misdemeanor and is grounds to suspend the MOS's license. Ensure MOS driver's license number is included on the MV-104L and check box next to the MOS's name if collision occurred in emergency operation. Now, the MV-104L goes to Albany. No one ever sees that. No one gets it. Okay? No civilian will ever see that. So, investigating supervisor. This is probably still the patrol supervisor, unless, obviously, someone is seriously hurt or dead. So, investigating supervisor, respond and comply with 22103 if person in custody, transported to court, etc., is hurt from Department Vehicle collision, or anyone is hurt from Department Vehicle pursuit or attempted car stop or attempted apprehension. Conduct canvass for witnesses in any video surveillance. Interview all involved, including witnesses. Investigating supervisor, which is probably the patrol supervisor, personally prepare Part A of collision report, police department vehicle. Sign and deliver collision report, police department vehicle to the desk officer, precinct of occurrence. Investigating supervisor, let's take a look at cause, fault, and don't forget about the recorder. Investigating supervisor, make preliminary determination of cause and note that on both the PAR and the collision report, police department vehicle. Include actions of both the operator and the recorder. However, if preliminary investigation shows that the police department operator is at fault, then note that just on the collision report, police department vehicle, not on the PAR. Let's take a look at video surveillance. If you're the investigating supervisor, notify precinct detective squad if surveillance video is available but inaccessible due to technical difficulties. If the squad can't get it, then notify TARU. Ensure video is put in Julie security envelope and vouchered as investigatory evidence. So 2 jewelry security envelopes here, right? One gets the photos, one gets any surveillance video, and then you voucher it as investigatory evidence. So 2 jewelry security envelopes, possibly. One is the photos. You always have that. 2 sets of photos. Don't voucher that. If you retrieve video of the accident, that does go in a jewelry security envelope, and you do voucher that as investigatory evidence. In pets, click MOS involved and put in remarks, do not destroy without authorization of the CO of the Legal Bureau. If you voucher any video, you send a photocopy of the collision report, police department vehicle, to the CO of risk assessment. Also give a copy of the voucher to the desk officer when you hand in the collision report, police department vehicle. Now let's look at all these steps for the desk officer, precinct of occurrence. I kind of left the printing small because I didn't want to go on 2 different pages. I want you to see them all stacked up the way they are. So desk officer, precinct of occurrence. Notify the patrol bureau again of rank, name, and command of supervisor who prepared the collision report police department vehicle. Notify Fleet Services Division and get a police collision serial number. Put that FSD number in the designated box on the collision report police department vehicle. Put FSD number on the top of the PAR, prefaced by police collision serial number. After getting these three numbers, the regular precinct PAR number, the borough number, which you got earlier, and the FSD number, and without waiting for final agency determination, because the CO does that, fax these three reports to the personnel safety desk 24 hours a day. Both sides of the PAR, the 104L, the MV104L, and the collision report police department vehicle. Prior to faxing, make sure they're legible and accurate. Fax on the same tour if possible. 7 o'clock in the morning to 6:30 at night. Confirm receipt by calling the personnel safety desk. If you can't fax, you can leave it for the incoming desk officer on the next tour, but they want you to do it on the same tour. If the fax machine is not operable, go to a different department facility. Make sure you see to the duplicate copies for box. Maybe the vehicle operator was from a different command, right? Then his command CO has to get a copy of that, right? Send department vehicle to borough service station, even if there's no apparent damage, with copy of the PAR and one set of the photos. Don't put the vehicle back in service until it's inspected by central repair. Attach copy of PAR, copy of the voucher, right? If you recovered video or something like that. So attach a copy of the PAR, copy of the voucher, the other set of the photos to the collision report police department vehicle. So attach all that to the collision report police department vehicle. The PAR, copy of the voucher, and the photos. Attach that to the collision report police department vehicle and forward it to the precinct XO. Okay, and then forward the original PAR to the traffic safety officer for processing in a normal manner. Okay, so the last two slides here are patrol supervisor in a nutshell, and then you'll see the next one here is desk officer in a nutshell. If you're listening to this in your car, I'm sorry, I'm not reading it over again. If you're watching it on video, I've totally encapsulated really short, in a short way, the patrol supervisor steps and the desk officer steps. Okay, so this is the 21706 department vehicle collisions. Drive safely out there, and ladies and gentlemen, that's my time.